welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my currently reading video for you. I discussed this last time where I was going to kind of stop the last 5 reads, and it's funny, I think it's actually been 5 reads since my last update, but I figured I would just catch you up, tell you where I'm at with my reading, what I've been reading, what I've been enjoying, what I've been trying to do with this quarantine that's been going on. I have my days where I read and want like nothing else to do but read, and then there's other days where like I can't even like look at a page and not want to tune out. So it ebbs and flows, and I've just been trying to meet my needs where they are. So far I like half stuck to my TBR, but also half threw my TBR out the window, because I read 2 books, which I'm going to talk about, which kind of were on the slower side, and then I was like, I need something addicting, and I switched to something addicting, and then I switched back to what like I needed to get done for the month. So I've done a little bit of both, and that's why I kind of did make my TBR very loose this month. I knew that I was going to turn into a mood reader and want to read mood things. So with that being said, let's just get started. So the first book that I finished is Open Book by Jessica Simpson. This is my nonfiction book that I read for the month of March, and I didn't know what I wanted to read. My shelf kind of had all these like sad, like horrible things to read about for nonfiction. So I needed something that I thought would be really uplifting, so I went and broke my book behind ban and purchased Open Book by Jessica Simpson because I heard so many people raving about it, and I really liked the beginning of it. I found it really gripping, really engaging. I learned so much more about Jessica Simpson than I thought I was going to. This takes place before she's famous, up until she had the birth of her 3rd child. I think the way to go with this book is to listen to it on audiobook. I did not listen to it on audiobook, but I heard Jessica Simpson narrates it, and I think that would have like brought this book more to life. You can definitely tell she feels like she's talking to her gal pals while she's writing this book, so it feels like she's talking to you. She feels like you're her friend. She's really opening up and giving you a whole ton of details, and I really liked it. I felt like I said I learned so much more about her than I thought I knew, things that I had preconceived notions on with like her and her marriage with Nick, and like as a teenager watching her, like I was really upset when they broke up, and now reading this, I was like, oh, they should have broke up. That was smart. So it was kind of cool to like take that journey with her and really see what has made her her. I will say, like I said, by the point when she was dating on again, off again John Mayer, I was just kind of like, is this book over yet? It's 400 pages. 400 pages of a very long memoir. And I just felt like it needed, I don't know, something to like make it not feel so long or a little bit shorter. But I think if I had listened to it as an audiobook like other people did, it would have like flowed a little bit easier. Like it would have felt like I was listening to like a podcast or something like that instead of like this like droning on book. So I did really enjoy it. I'm glad that I picked it up. It just had some draggy points. And as you know, if you've been following me for a while, I tend to not rate nonfiction just because of the fact that I don't want it to appear that I'm judging Jessica. She's not a character. I cannot rate a book 4 stars because she was annoying or something, you know what I mean? So I don't tend to rate nonfiction unless it's like an above and beyond 5-star read. So this to me is just gonna stay not rated. But I will say, if you're interested in Jessica Simpson's life and Jessica Simpson in general, I highly recommend you check this one out. And then I read, I wanted a page turner, especially after that one, so I tried to pick up The New Husband by DJ Palmer. This comes out April 14th. I thought this would be a big, huge page turner, and it didn't turn out to be that way for me. This ended up being a 4-star read. This follows a woman and her husband in the past 2 years or so. He went missing. He was supposed to be fishing, and they found his boat with his dog on it, but they never found the body. And now fast forward, it's been a few years now. She's got grown children, and she is moving in with this new guy, and he will be her new husband. We know on the back because, like I said, this book, the synopsis is so vague. Like, you don't even know about the whole, like, missing husband thing. You just know that Simon Fitch, who is her new man, is so perfect. Checks off all the boxes. So what's wrong? So it was a good book. I feel like the chapters were really short, which I always appreciate a good short chapter. In the beginning, it did bother me because each chapter would either be like her perspective or her daughter's perspective, and it wouldn't title it on top. And sometimes I don't like when they do that and they don't title it, because then like it takes me a few sentences to figure out who I'm reading from sometimes, and it takes me out of the story for a minute. So that was kind of bothering me. It was a little bit slow. But then by the end, I was like, okay, this is getting good. It's not the most unique storyline. There's a plot twist that is revealed right in the middle of the book that I saw kind of coming. I saw half of it being true, and once that happened, it was still engaging. It felt like a Lifetime movie, but it wasn't the most original storyline ever, if that makes sense. So it was a good book. I'm glad I read it. I think I will read more by this author. Just this one wasn't as gripping and as engaging as I wanted it to be. So it ended up being 4 stars just because it was a bit slow, and I just had those little bits of disconnect, and it wasn't the most original, so it couldn't be 5 stars, but I do think it's a good book. It's a good domestic thriller. After that, like I said, I read those 2 slower books, and I was like, I need something that's going to be gripping. I need something that's going to be engaging. So I was like narrowing it down. I either wanted to read a Colleen Hoover book, a Christina Lauren book, or a Candy Steiner book. Or somebody else. I think there might have been one. No, just those 3. And so I was talking to Kendra. I was like, Kendra, what do I read? And so she helped me narrow it down, and we ended up coming to the conclusion that I should read the What He Doesn't Know duology. So we got book 1, which is What He Doesn't Know, and book 2, What He Always Knew. There is a 3rd book, which is technically like a spin-off. It's about the guy that she doesn't choose, which I don't own. I could have easily picked it up on Kindle Unlimited, but I felt like, again, my book buy ban, I'm going to want to purchase it anyway, so I might as well just hold off. So, like I said, so I picked this duology up. It's called a Duet, so it's, because it's 2 books. This follows a woman. She's in a marriage, and we know that it's not the healthiest of relationships. We know they're not extremely happy, and in walks in her neighbor and childhood crush. He has been living in the city for the past 8-10 years, and he's now come back, and it's kind of their love triangle, because she's in this unhealthy marriage, but then she's like, but remember when I had a crush on that guy? Like, who should I choose? And so I'm not, like, it's so hard to talk about this book without spoiling things, because it's such a journey that these characters all take. And in the first book, we kind of alternate perspectives between her and the neighbor guy, and then in this book we follow her, the neighbor, and her husband. And I really liked having her husband's perspective, because in the first book it felt not one-sided, because you were still getting 2 sides of the story, but I felt like I really wanted his side of the story as well. I will say I was initially spoiled for who she picks, just because I remember what the promotion was like when they were trying to promote the 3rd book, because I had just gone into Candy when she was releasing her 3rd one. So I knew the tags of, like, if you love this, you're going to love this book, because she kind of does sell it kind of as a standalone, because it is related to this, but it's not. It's his own love story. So, like, I knew who she picked before I even went into this, and I was nervous that would sway my opinion. I don't know if it necessarily swayed my opinion, but I will say I do love who she chooses. I would have, based off that, if I just had these books and I didn't know who she chose and who she didn't, I still would have wanted her to choose who she did. So that is kind of a good thing. But it's hard to nitpick what I don't like about it without spoiling what happens in this book. So just know that this is a really gripping, emotional, heartbreaking story. I cried so many times while reading these books that, like, I don't know, my heart, like, was in pieces and shattered a million times. There were happy tears, there were sad tears, there were angry tears. There were just tears for everything. It was a complete emotional roller coaster of a series. So if you love emotional, heart-wrenching stories, these are definitely going to be for you. I typically don't like books that involve cheating or things like that, but for some reason Candy did it in a way that I was like kind of okay with it. It kind of made sense. Not that I would ever want that for my own life or have a friend go through that, but to read it, it's fiction after all. It was fine, and I was okay with it, and I gave these both 5 stars. Then after that, I decided that I wanted to go back to reading books that I was supposed to read in terms of like my goals for the month. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. So actually, this is not a 5-star, but 5 reads book. This is a 6 ones. I forgot about this guy. I went and read Peter Swanson's 8 Perfect Murders first. I almost completely skipped it. Guess it was kind of forgettable in that sense. I gave this book 3 stars. I didn't love this one as much as I wanted to. This is my 4th Peter Swanson book, and I have another one on my shelf that I haven't read yet. And Peter Swanson always has these amazing premises, and I'm like so here for it. And I've yet to find a Peter Swanson book that I love. And I thought this was going to be it. And it's probably my least favorite one that I've read. So this book is about this man, and he works for a bookstore, and at this point he owns the bookstore, and he wrote a blog post years ago about the 8 perfect murders that have happened in fiction. And if you read the synopsis, it talks about like it's gonna do the ABC murders. It's got Strangers on a Train. It's got Death Trap. The other synopsis I read talks about how it would spoil the secret history. So I knew the 8 books that were going to be spoiled in this book, because now there's a murderer who is going around basically murdering people that are emulating this list. So the FBI is coming to this guy and being like, can you help us? You're like the expert on these stories, and clearly someone is using your list to murder people. Help us figure it out. So I went into it, like I said, knowing I would be spoiled for these 8 books. I've already read Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, so I knew I wasn't going to get spoiled for that. And then the other books I have no interest in reading. They're all 1992 and older books, so I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I don't even know what these other books are. I don't care. So I went in and read it anyways. It spoiled more than those 8. It half spoiled, and then there were none, which luckily is my favorite book of all time, so I didn't get spoiled for that. But if you weren't ready for it, it spoiled it. And then luckily the Holdout kind of spoiled it already for me, but it 100% spoiled The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which I have not read yet, and I own. So now I'm like, do I even bother reading it? Because I know what happens. And it's just frustrating to me because I knew I was going to get spoiled for the 8. I was not anticipating getting spoiled for the others. And then I'm partially fighting myself because I'm like, do I even have the right to be upset about a book that's spoiling books that are from 80-something years ago? Like, when is it okay to spoil a book? Like, I know we all kind of at this point know, like, what happens at the end of Harry Potter, but, like, is that fair for the world to be spoiled like that? Like, I don't know. Like, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because, like I said, I went in prepared for the 8 that were going to get spoiled, and when it spoiled more than the 8, that's when it really bothered me. It was also really slow and felt very dumpy. Like, it just felt like it was just giving me information and telling me these stories, and I'm like, you know what? You could have done this book with 8 fictional murders. That would have been perfect, but it was probably too much work. So he decided, let's just take works of work that are already out and spoil them. And to me, it felt lazy. And by the end, I was so bored out of my mind. And this is only 270 pages. I was so bored out of my mind by the end that when the twist happened, which was probably a really good twist, bored me. I, like, wasn't even excited about it. I was kind of like, you know what? I'm so glad this book is done. Like, and that's not how I should have felt by the end of this. So, unfortunately, this book was not for me. I gave it 3 stars because it still, like, it had such a great premise. It had such a good start. And then it just, like, tanked. So, not for me. Maybe for you. If you've read the 8, if you've read the 10, Maybe it's for you. Maybe you don't care to be spoiled for Agatha Christie like me, but go into it, tread lightly. You may still love it. I don't know. I did not. And then I moved on. Like I said, I was trying to read books that I had to. So, like, I had to read that one because it was a pre-order. And then I read my Reese's Book Club pick, which is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I will be filming my review that is strictly just for this book after this one. So, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Just know that this is Reese's Book Club pick for April. It's a nonfiction book about really living your truest self and how to get there and how Glennon got there and living your life untamed and not living to everybody else's standards. Like I said, I'll talk more about it in its own video, but I did actually enjoy this one. But like I said, we'll talk more. And then the book that I am currently reading, so I won't be able to talk too much about it yet, is The Sweety Sisters by Leanne Dolan. This book comes out April... Oh, I thought I had the little taggy thing. I think it comes out April 25th or something. It comes out at the end of the month. I will talk more about it when we get closer to the date. I thought I had the tag. But this one comes out at the end of the month. This was kindly sent to me from William Morrow. And I'm so excited. It's so good so far. I'm only 37 pages in. But it's also another short one. It's only 290 pages. This one follows the Sweety Sisters and their father, who is a very prestigious writer, ends up passing away. All the girls come together for the funeral, and they end up finding out, I'm not sure how yet because it hasn't been revealed, but they find out that they have another sister, which is crazy. So really excited to keep reading this one because I'm really liking it so far. So those are the books that I have been currently reading. What have you been reading? What has been really getting you out of this coronavirus rut? Let me know, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, everybody.